This video will show you how to create the snail cam for our Automata project. The way that we'll be creating this part is by using a parametric constraint, which is a variable that you can use to create the part that makes it easy to change the dimensions later, so that if you need to make the part a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger, you only have to change one dimension. So you can see that parametric constraint in this drawing right here where it says d divided by 4 and d divided by 2. That is supposed to represent diameter of the circles that is used to create the snail cam. So you can see we kind of have a half circle right here and then another half circle on the left side. And those are the diameters of those circles. And we're just going to use one parametric constraint, this one right here that you see, which is called d. And again, we can easily change this overall size of the snail cam just by changing what that variable is equal to. So let's go ahead and start this by creating a new part in Inventor. And the first thing we do before we start any sketches is, since we're going to be using that parameter, we're going to go ahead and add it. So we need to go to the Manage tab and then click on Parameters. All right, and then we're going to add a numeric parameter, and then we'll call it d for diameter, and then hit Enter. And then the equation, you'll see that it automatically sets it to 1 inch. We're going to reset that to 1.5 is what we're going to be using for the diameter. Okay, and then click Done. So that parameter is now added, and we can use it in any sketch or extrusion, any measurement when creating a part. So we'll go and create a sketch now, and then I'll choose the XY plane. All right, going back to the drawing. So you can see again we have two arcs, a left arc and a right arc. Let's start with the biggest one. And again, we're just going to make a full circle for this. So if we were to make the full circle and dimension it with the total distance across, meaning the full diameter, so that means that we are measuring from the top line here to the very bottom of the snail cam. We know that from the center point up, that is d divided by 2. So that means that from the total top of the snail cam to the bottom, that is just d. We're not dividing it by 2. So when we make our circle here, we're just going to type in d, which will be the total diameter because we're going to be making the entire circle. Okay, so we'll go to the circle tool. We'll start it at the origin. And then again, for our dimension, we'll just be typing in the letter d and then hit Enter. So you'll see when it added that, we do get the value of 1.5 because that's what we set d to, so that's what we should be getting. But you also see this f of x. And what that means is that this value was calculated from a parameter. It was a function. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of move, maybe try to move this out of the way a little bit so it's not quite on the center. There we go. All right, and then we're going to make this a construction line because we're only going to be using the right side here. All right, so we'll leave that for now. Let's go ahead and add in our other circle on the inside. So basically we have this other arc, and we're going to create a circle that will be for this dimension. Again, if this is the center point of that circle going up, if we want to make the entire diameter of the circle, that means we want to put d divided by 2 for this inside one. So we'll make another circle, and then we'll just say d/2 for d divided by 2. Okay, and you'll see that that will be 0.75, so it basically calculated that as 1.5 divided by 2 to get 0.75. Okay, just the same way we did this last time, we'll make that a construction line. All right, and then we'll make the smaller arc first. The way that we're going to make the smaller arc is we will create our arc at this top point and the bottom point so that it arcs this way. So go to the arc tool, and again, we're going to click this point right here, the top of our smaller circle on the inside, and then we'll click the very bottom circle. And now you want to be careful here and move your mouse over to the left until you see a tangent constraint. So you can see right there where I got those tangent symbols on the top and on the bottom that you can see there. Just click until you see those. Basically, when you're done, you should have a tangent constraint, which means that this curved line is just touching the curved line on the bottom, the construction line. And the same thing should be happening up here. You should see a tangent constraint, which means that the arc that we just added is tangent to this inside circle. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with the arc on this side here. So let's click on the very top and the bottom, and then That line should basically just overlap this part of the construction line. You should also see tangent constraints that were added with that. Okay. Next, we need to add a line connecting them. All right, and that will be the outline of our snail cam. So click Finish Sketch, and then click Extrude. And then if you notice on our drawing, it says that it's 0.25 inches thick, or 1/4 of an inch thick. So we're just going to change this to 0.25 and click OK. And that should be your outline of your snail cam. So now we're going to add the square hole, and we're going to put that on the front. All right, and the tool that you want to use for this, if you click the rectangle tool, you want to use the center points so that we can start our rectangle right in the center at the origin. Okay, and if we look at the dimensions of that, both sides of the square are 0.26. So just make sure you change both sides to 0.26. And then we'll click Finish, and then we're just going to extrude and cut this all the way through. All right, and that is our snail cam. The next thing that we'll do is we'll change the material of this to reflect what we'll actually be using. Since this is going to be 3D printed, we'll select ABS plastic for the material. And then the color, you can go ahead and change the color really to be whatever you want. I'm just going to make mine red. So click OK. All right, the last thing I want to show you is how to change the size of your snail cam using that parameter that we added at the beginning. So if you go back to the Manage tab and then the Parameters window, you'll see some extra parameters that we added from when we added our model, but we still have that one that was diameter that we added at the beginning, and we can still see that it's set to 1.5. So let's say that we wanted to make our snail cam a little bit bigger with 2 inches. So if we type 2 in there and then hit Enter, you'll see that the model automatically adjusts to that, and it automatically increased in size. Okay, and then we can just set it right back to 1.5. All right, and that's how easy it is to make changes to your part using parameters. Okay, so go ahead and save this part and add it to your Automata folder.